Okay, here we have Beck's from Germany. This is the imported version in a can. We used to have the bottles, but that was long before I started doing these reviews, so we'll have to live with this. Beer Advocate says 4.9%. It's actually 5 in the can. Big whoop. Not much of a difference, really. Okay, so this is a German Pilsner. Anything else interesting here? On the can, canned in Germany, brewed under the German purity law of 1516. Whoop-de-fucking-do. Okay. So I got my vintage Keith's mug. Maybe it was Indian. Maybe it actually was a India Pale Ale when this mug was released. Who knows? Okay, so we'll pour it right now. Going into this review, whenever I do cans that are imported or beers that are licensed to be brewed in a North American country when they're from Europe, you should be wary that the quality is probably going to suffer a bit. Especially if it's licensed. If it's a licensed beer, sometimes companies have a tendency to skimp on the ingredients and use cheap grains, etc. Good example, of course, would be Miller with their license for Lowenbrau that they had. And also imported beers. Even though you can be all snooty and say, oh, they're better because they're European, etc., etc., you don't know what conditions they've been under, you don't know how they've been handled, you don't know how long they've been sitting in a ship's hull somewhere, getting warm, and possibly getting ruined. Especially if they're in clear bottles or whatever, you don't know if light has gotten on them, etc., etc. So, yes, well aware that maybe some of my reviews, they might go higher if I was to actually be in the actual country and drink the real deal, or whatever. Anyway, as you can see, it's very clear. Very clear, very clear, very pale. It's got that Pilsner color to it. Not much of a head to speak of. I think I recall the bottled version having a better head than that, and that's probably true. I seem to recall when I had the bottled version years ago, the head was actually about 2 fingers thick. So anyway, and also yeah, there would have been actually, if this head had been 2 fingers thick, it would have overflowed. The bottled version is 331 milliliters or whatever. This is a 500 milliliter can, so really I don't want a big head. Okay, so I'm going to take a smell right now. Okay, notice the difference from the bottled version. The bottles were green glass, and so I recall Beck's being skunky when I had to do the bottles. Definitely had that sort of skunk smell to it that you get with lagers and pilsners. This one, out of the can, it really doesn't have much of a smell at all. There's some slight, very slight, sweet grain kind of smell, but really it's not much at all. It really doesn't have much of an aroma to speak of. So we're just going to get right into the taste here. Wow, that's quite sweet. there's a sweet taste up front that sort of bounces back and forth. I can't quite decide what it is. It's either sort of a caramel kind of note, or it's a really sweet kind of fruit note. It doesn't really have that sort of grainy kind of taste that you get with most lagers and pills. That being said, this is quite mild and light, and that's actually quite typical of Pilsners. They tend to be a bit lighter in character and taste than an actual just standard lager. Bit of a dry finish. Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Beck's is not a bad beer. Nothing spectacular, but it does taste different. It does set itself apart from a lot of lagers and pilsners. It definitely has a distinct flavor, which is saying something for a lager, pilsner type beer, as most of them just taste the same, right? Usually all they do is have a slight difference in the aroma as compared to the taste. You'll get like a sweet smell, but a slightly bitter beer, or you'll get a slightly bitter smell, and you get sweet beer. And usually that's all you're going to get. But Beck's does have a unique kind of sweetness to it for a lager, pilsner type beer. Almost has the sweetness as it fills your mouth. Almost has a sort of ale kind of quality to it. It kind of tricks you into thinking there might actually be kind of a body there, kind of a thickness, but really isn't there. It's kind of thin and watery actually, but that's really nice. Yeah, so even though this is, I imagine, right off tap or out of a bottle right in Germany, this stuff's probably not bad at all. And this stuff here isn't too bad for the imported version. So I'd give it a 3 out of 5. It's not amazing or anything. I've had far superior lagers and pilsners than Beck's, but Beck's is a pretty good it's a pretty good little you know, sort of standard mid-level beer, middle of the road kind of thing. Not offensive, not something that's going to give you a fucking mouth orgasm, but it's okay. It's a decent beer. So yeah, Beck's 3 out of 5. Definitely worth checking out.